Hi, I'm your host, Amy Freena. For over 30 years, CareCredit has been enabling people just like you to get the care, procedure, or surgery they want or need when they want it. Behind the thousands of amazing testimonials we receive from our cardholders are the dedicated providers and healthcare workers who make these stories possible. In this series, we are giving you exclusive access to these well-respected and renowned care experts who are all part of our CareCredit network and asking them to share the information and answers you need to make informed decisions about your health, wellness, and personal care. We're talking Mommy Makeovers, which is a name for a combination of procedures that focus on addressing those areas affected by childbirth and may include a breast lift, breast augmentation, or a tummy tuck, depending on the needs of the patient. Joining us is Dr. Stewart Wang, a renowned board-certified plastic surgeon and the medical director of Wang Plastic Surgery and Med Spa in Upland, California. Dr. Wang is a member of the American Society of Plastic Surgeons, the American Society for Aesthetic Plastic Surgery, and the International Society of Aesthetic Plastic Surgery. Hey guys, I'm Amy, and we are here today with Dr. Wang of Wang Plastic Surgery and Med Spa, 2 locations in Pasadena and Upland, correct?
Correct.
How are you?
There's 4 locations.
4,
now.
excuse me. What are the other 2?
We just added a new location in Santa Ana.
Oh, congratulations.
And we also have a med spa in Glendora.
All right, so no matter where you are, you can get to you pretty
Absolutely.
easily. All right, Dr. Wang, I wanted to ask you a little bit about yourself. First of all, what is your journey to cosmetic surgery? How did you get to where you are today?
Well, it's interesting because this comes quite easily for us in terms of I started out just doing aesthetic procedure right out of the residency.
Okay.
And our practice just really evolved from day one to be a cosmetic, aesthetic focused practice. And it just gradually grew.
Okay, wonderful. What are your hobbies when you're not working?
Well, love doing this.
Okay, good.
And I play golf and love to travel.
Okay,
And spend time with the family.
that's wonderful. Where's your favorite place you've been?
My last trip is in Japan,
Uh-huh.
and we went to a little mountain village up
Okay.
in northern Japan, and we literally did nothing but sitting in a hot tub and listening to the wind.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah,
Very relaxing.
watching sunrise and just enjoying the nature.
Oh, that's great. Good for you. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your most interesting case?
Well, there are a lot. I would say that some of the most interesting stuff that we have dealt with is really working with women who felt horrible about their body, especially, I would say, either after multiple pregnancies or after significant weight loss. They just don't feel like they're carrying bags of skin with them. And they go out fully clothed. We live in Southern California, and they're just covered up.
Right.
And they don't want to go to the beach. They don't want to expose themselves. They are filled with extra skin. And those patients, if we can change the body, change the way they look, they're a brand new person afterwards.
That has to be so rewarding for you and your team.
It's great when we see them after the transformation, and they come back. They are absolutely, their clothing styles changed. They feel great about themselves. They're confident. We see that confidence coming back.
That's
and
wonderful.
that's just unbelievable.
Changing lives.
Well, that's what we like to do.
Awesome. What about an embarrassing moment,
I think that
if you want to share?
I think the most embarrassing things for me would be going out and having my patient come up to me, smile and say hi, and I can't recall their name.
Right.
Pretty much all I can do is smile back and
say, hey, you look great.
talk about vague stuff.
Right.
And until I figure eventually it will come up, and I'll vaguely remember either a first name or last name, and try not to be wrong with it.
Well,
So
you see a ton of patients. That's
I've
expected.
been wrong quite a bit.
That's okay. We all have.
Yeah.
What about, is there a celebrity that you've met?
really can't talk too much about individual,
Okay.
but I have worked on city government officials.
Okay.
And being in Los Angeles, we certainly have our share of actresses and executives' wives, et cetera, et cetera. I have a pretty strong practice interestingly, in the education field. We worked on a lot of teachers, educators, wife, and et cetera. So,
And wives are celebrities, right?
and, well, we treat everyone like they're celebrities.
Right, that's wonderful. All right, well, let's get to the meat and potatoes here. We are going to talk about some mommy makeovers. First and foremost, what is a mommy makeover?
Mommy makeover is really a generic term.
Okay.
It's a combination of surgery, primarily focusing on breast and the abdominal region.
Okay.
We know that changes came about after pregnancy, and they come in, they just don't feel, they feel awful about their body, and their breast is somewhat deflated, and they have this muffin top, and they have loose stretch skin with stretch mark, and no matter how hard they work out, they can't get that body back, and they come in absolutely just desperate to get that changed. So it's a combination of procedure involving the breast and the abdomen.
Okay. What makes a good candidate for this type of surgery?
I think any woman who's had pregnancy, had kids, who just had the body change from all of that. Sometimes it could be from also weight shifts. They gain a lot of weight during pregnancy and they lose the weight, and their body's not the same. So there will be all these women will be wonderful candidates.
Should a woman wait until after having children to consider the procedure?
That's been our recommendation.
Okay.
We tell them that you want to consider this kind of surgery because the surgery is fairly definitive, and you don't want your body to change after you have the surgery.
Right.
So we encourage them to kind of make the plans, making sure they're sort of done with their having kids, and then they can come in and have the change once for all.
Okay. What about the cost? I'm sure people are wondering how much typically is a mommy makeover.
We have seen this is a significant investment, and we tell them that this is not a surgery you have every other day. This is kind of a once-in-a-life procedure. So we tell them to plan ahead. Definitely, they need to budget for it, and but we also tell them it's well worth it because the changes are so significant that most of my patients come back and tell us it's one of the best investments they ever made. So, yes.
Do you have like a ballpark price range? I'm sure it's different everywhere, but.
Yeah, I generally don't deal with pricing with my patient directly, but just as a general range, it can range anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000.
Gotcha.
Just depending on exactly what needs to be done.
Procedures.
Yes.
Okay. And for someone out there who definitely wants this procedure and maybe they can't afford it, are there payment options?
Well, absolutely. I think first and foremost, we really want the patient to feel comfortable about the procedure itself. We know it's a big investment, so they need to be absolutely on board, not just the patient itself, but perhaps their significant other as well. And at the same time, from a medical point of view, we want to make sure they have a full understanding of the procedure. We know they want a procedure. Yes, there are different payment options, and we will go over all the options with them. A lot of time we'll have them consider financing, and they can finance all or part of the procedure.
Okay.
And our consultants are absolutely trained to help them with that part of the
Perfect.
process.
Perfect. So what should a patient look for in a plastic surgeon? There's so many of them out there. What guidelines do you have?
I think that I have two general guidelines for my patient,
Okay.
And I tell all of them that. One is you want your surgeon to be qualified. And by that, I really mean that they should be properly trained and have the proper experience. And that's the easy part. There's different websites that you can go. American Society of Plastic Surgeons is a wonderful resource. Only board-certified plastic surgeons are listed as their member.
Okay.
And that would be a great place to start. And that's a starting point. You got to do your homework. You got to research. And at the end, you have to find the one that you're wanting to trust.
Right.
You're letting somebody operating and altering your body.
Right.
And I think that trust is critical. If you met the physician and you're not comfortable enough to allow that, then
Go.
you need to find another person.
Okay,
Yeah.
interesting. Are there specific questions that maybe the patient should ask the surgeon in the consultation?
I think nowadays with the internet so prevalent, most of my patients come in already know a lot of my background. They searched my educational background, my board certification. So I think the main thing I tell them now is discuss the surgeon's experience, not just the success story, but how to manage should their problem arises.
Right.
And these kind of surgery all have a small risk.
Right.
But when it happens, we got to have a proper plan and ways of taking care of it to mitigate the issue so it doesn't become a big issue. So talk to your surgeon about what if something happens and bring out different scenario. I think the surgeon should be comfortable discussing that with the patient. It's not just the wonderful result, but also should the unexpected emergency that come up, how are we going to address it? And making sure that the patient's absolutely comfortable in making their decision
Right.
To proceed.
So when, let's say a patient has already decided that they are having the mommy makeover, they have chosen you as the surgeon, and the only barrier between them and their new dream self is money. What financial options are available?
Well, Amy, that's a wonderful question because here it is. The mommy makeover procedure is a significant expense. And we tell the patient that it's a great investment, but it's not inexpensive. It requires planning and budgeting.
Right.
And so one of the way we approach this to the patient is that, we have wonderful financing options. If they, whether they want to utilize it, there's many different payment options. My consultant is well-versed in that aspect of it.
Okay.
And they go over all the options, so, whether it's financing a portion of the surgical procedure or the entirety.
Okay.
And then we try to break it down to the monthly commitment so that they can be within their budget. One of
Okay.
the key things I tell my patient is that you want to plan and you want to make sure it's something you can handle. And it is a commitment, but it's well worth it. We've seen the result. And if we can break it down in a more understandable term, such as monthly payment,
Okay.
they have a better understanding. And then they can base on their decision on what they can afford. I think these things are important to make sure that they want, in order for them to achieve their dream, and this is the commitment that they need to make, and we're here to help them with
Gotcha.
that.
Okay. So speaking of that, what are some of the risks and complications associated with a mommy makeover?
I think the key thing is, as long as the patient is healthy, this procedure is overwhelmingly safe. Now, that doesn't mean it's problem-free. There can be minor issues or complications, such as buildup of, after surgery, you can have buildup of fluids, you can have blood clot, the risk of blood clotting, and part of the healing process may be delayed if the blood supply isn't perfect. So there may be mostly minor issues, but they need attention and need to be addressed no matter what.
Gotcha. Okay, can you kind of go through or provide an overview for us the various procedures that could be or are included in the mommy makeover?
I think for the breast, the most typical scenario, because women who's had multiple pregnancy, they feel like their breast is a little bit lower than they would have liked. Perhaps the breast lost some volume, so they feel like it's kind of a good way to describe it is like deflated breast. So for those patients, our recommendation is to add some volume, typically with the implant, and also doing a breast lift to kind of move the breast tissue back where they belong. For the abdominal portion, we look at three separate things. First is the skin. Obviously, majority of them will have extra skin cut out. If they have gather a little extra fat, a different area, typically on the waistline, we would do some lipocontouring to help shape their waist. And finally, we look at the internal muscle layer. If the muscle layer is not kind of the way they're supposed to be, we will get them back and repair it back to the way it was supposed to be.
So it could be multiple surgeries.
Typically, it's a combination. And will require just what is present, what kind of issues are present.
What can a patient do to prepare for a surgery like this?
I tell my patient this: be active. You want your weight to be similar to your goal. We don't want a lot of weight shifts after the surgery. Second is be active, exercise, eat well. Make sure your nutritional status is up to par. That allows for a optimal healing.
And what can they experience during the recovery after surgery?
This is actually the hardest part. That patient typically come in, they anticipate wonderful results, but they oftentimes overlook the recovery period. And for us, actually, that's a very important aspect of caring for the patient through this journey is the recovery. They're going to need help. So they need people around them to find the proper support to help them through an initial recovery phase, which can be challenging. But it's a short term. Make sure they set aside proper time for rest. Make sure there's enough people around them to help them. And then before you know it, it's over. And they have a brand new body.
Well, first of all, how long, generally speaking, is the healing process?
I have a general rule. At 3 weeks after the surgery, they can pretty much resume their normal daily activities. And then at 6 weeks after surgery, they can start exercising progressively. And typically at 3 months, they should have no restriction in their life.
What can they expect to experience? What can they look forward to, I guess, after having the mommy makeover?
Well, what we see is this brand new transformation, a renewed confidence. We see them coming in, smiling. They spend more time with their spouse or significant other. Their social life become more engaged, and their clothing absolutely transformation in how they dress themselves. It's more than just photograph. It is just the way they see themselves as a new woman again. They're made back whole, so to speak.
Okay, Dr. Wang, now we have a few random questions for you, so whatever comes to your mind, just spit it out right away. Ready?
All right.
Cat
you mean
or dog?
Chinese or the English?
We're going to go with English for now.
Right.
So cat or dog?
Dog.
All right. Hardtop or convertible?
Convertible.
All right. Surf or ski?
Ski.
Okay. Golf or running?
Golf.
Okay. Night owl or morning person?
Night owl.
All right. Decaf or calf?
Tea.
Okay, we'll take it. Shop in-store or online?
Neither.
Okay. NBA or NFL?
NBA.
All right.
Go Lakers.
Go Lakers. All right, Dr. Wang, thank you so much for your time. We learned a lot about mommy makeovers from one of the country's top board-certified plastic surgeons. If you're considering body contouring, we hope we've provided the information you need to decide if you want to take the next step and schedule a consultation. Remember, CareCredit is a leading national healthcare credit card that can enable you to get many of the surgeries, procedures, and treatments you want now and pay over time with everyday promotional financing on purchases of $200 or more. CareCredit can also be used to pay for copays, coinsurance, deductibles, and your health and wellness needs. CareCredit is accepted at hundreds of thousands of locations nationwide to pay for care whenever you need and want it. If you are interested in applying for a CareCredit credit card or would like to find a provider in your area who accepts CareCredit, visit us at carecredit.com. And if you found this information valuable, please leave us a 5-star review on the App Store and a thumbs up and share it with a friend. I'm Amy Frina with CareCredit, and I will see you soon.